country, really? Who has bewitched Ugandans?
I want to assure you, as government, we shall do whatever it takes to ensure that Ugandans are safe.
We have conversations that have analysis, explanation.
This law society, this union of theirs, because they want a job everywhere, they want to be this, they want to be that, they want... No. We know it's a union.
You cannot be making a road, bitumen grade 1, in Congo for 5 billion.
But not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth.
The argument that the General Court Martial is responsible for peace and stability is without basis, either in law or in fact.
We have been told how Napoleon was a great orator. Now, Napoleon cannot help me get food. They told me combine harvest in Saskatchewan. I don't know where Saskatchewan is. This is a geographer we taught. Instead of teaching me how to preserve Mabera forest, they're teaching me about Rhineland. This is a problem we got. We cannot run away from it.
Right now, you hear very disgusting stories of members of parliament. Instead of discussing the details of loans, they ask for their cuts.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
In the neighborhood, near stagnant water and mosquito breeding sites, malaria lurks, always waiting to strike. But fear not, for here comes Mr. Vaxa, the ultimate protector against malaria. For years, malaria has been one of the biggest threats to children under 5, making them weak and even putting their lives at risk. But now, the government is introducing a new solution, the malaria vaccine. The malaria vaccine is now in the routine immunization schedule. The malaria vaccine is administered in 4 doses at 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, and 18 months. This vaccine will provide extra protection against severe malaria. And don't forget, routine immunization protects children from many deadly diseases. Every vaccine matters. Visit the nearest health facility for routine immunization services today. Mr. Vaxa, the malaria vaccine is free, safe, and ready to protect our children. Will you join the fight and complete all 4 doses? For more information, call the Ministry of Health on 0800 100 066. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
A very good morning to you. Thank you for still watching UBC. I'm sure you have had quite an insightful morning with the topics that have been discussed on Good Morning Uganda. Now I'm taking you through GMU Extra. My name is Sophia Matovo, and we're still talking about the malaria vaccine, but today we're going to tweak the topic a little bit further, because we've been telling you vaccine, but nobody seems to be telling you a lot of in-depth information about immunization. But let me first read out this for you. Uganda continues to be at high risk of vaccine-preventable diseases because many children are unimmunized and under-immunized due to low demand for immunization and probably the supply of some of these vaccines. But with me in studio is an expert, and that is Professor Mworozi Edson, who is a specialist in pediatrics and child health. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning, moderator.
Okay.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're most welcome. Now, Professor, we'll get straight right into it. We keep on telling people immunization, immunization. What is immunization? I'd like us to start at that level.
Immunization, thank you very much for that question. Immunization is the process of giving protection to a person against a targeted disease. So by increasing their immunity to defend themselves against the disease. So by doing that, you protect the person. When the disease comes, they are ready having strong immunity against that disease and can't get to them. And we do so by giving vaccines. And these vaccines can give them either, usually mainly by giving injections, but you can also give by drops in the mouth.
Okay. Now, Professor, how do you allay the fear of some people who sometimes actually think that when you're immunizing them, you're actually introducing, if it's malaria, then you're actually introducing the actual virus into their body? Maybe help a little bit to break it down for a lay person to understand what is entailed.
Thank you. That's a very fundamental question. Because we are saying immunization is to protect against a targeted disease. So these vaccines have been researched and proven to be very safe and effective. By the time they come to be given to a human being, they have gone through a lot of processes, sometimes years, even decades. So they are really very safe. And by the time we give them, WHO has approved that they are very, very safe and effective. So there is no way one can give a person a disease using the vaccine. However, maybe later on as we go on, some of the vaccines we have, many of them actually are inactivated. In other words, they are killed. So the virus is there. If there is a virus, it is there. But usually we use components of the virus, not the whole virus. But some of them, there is what we call live attenuated. That means these vaccines are not completely killed, but they have been weakened so much that they can't cause the disease. Now those ones, which have been weakened so much, we make sure that people whose immune system is very compromised. For example, children, let me say children, but it can any person. Let's say who is having cancer, as a cancer disease, and the cancer is advanced and having cancer disease. We cannot give them those vaccines because their immune system is low. The other group are people who are, for example, the HIV infected. But the HIV infected, ordinarily, if they are not having the final stage of the disease when they have got AIDS, we give them. But if their immune system has gone down, then we also don't give them. And then there are, of course, for children, there are other children who are born with their immune system is compromised, what we call congenital immunodeficiency syndromes, that they are born congenitally, their immune system is weak. So those we don't give. But otherwise, the vaccines we give are very safe.
Now, Professor, talking about that, what, for you as a person, I believe, who's been involved in the research, and you're an expert when it comes to child health, what is your take in terms of like success stories, say, of immunization? I believe you've also possibly done a research paper on that and might be able to say it is worthwhile. Continue. Now, even with the new malaria vaccine, please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's true, I've been involved in vaccine very much and I've researched on vaccine. As far as the success stories, they are very obvious. One, I think let's talk about polio. I think when maybe you are not yet born, but people usually see children who come, suddenly they can't walk, and then you find they have polio. And we have seen many people, actually many of the people we see are either lame or what, it was mainly because of polio. But because of vaccination, now you cannot see polio at all. Now, for example, right now in the whole world, there are only 2 countries where we still have what we call wild polio, the polio disease, new one. But other countries it is not. And that's why, for example, you know that we are doing surveillance throughout the year, the countries are doing that. The moment you detect a polio virus, let's say in water, you remember in Uganda, about a year ago, we detected some polio virus in the water in Rigi and Bukorovi. quickly they immunize everybody. That's one. So polio is almost gone. Of course, there are diseases which you don't even hear anymore. I mean, things like, for example, tetanus. You used to have tetanus killing many babies. Now we hardly hear of it. Of course, the other things, measles has been a bit of a challenge. I think if you talk to your parents, they will tell you children used to die with measles so much that you have many children, see, some of them, measles will take them. But now that's almost gone. Although, of course, with measles, we still have a challenge. Sometimes we get outbreaks. From what you said, that many people are not taking the vaccine, sometimes they don't take it. So really, and of course, if we look at globally, or even take Uganda, you can see that our under 5 mortality has gone down very much. Infant mortality has gone down very much, and vaccination is one of the contributors to that. So we got a lot of evidence. But the most important one is that you no longer see children who are being crippled.
Yeah, true. Yes. Now, that aside, why is it that, like, say, I'll give an example, it's clustered around most of the immunization, even I've seen you moved with a card, happens pretty much around a particular age bracket. Yes. So when we grow older, has our immunity improved that, you know, we've got the resistance to fight against some of the diseases for which we were immunized? I don't see that. It's only, I think, when we had COVID that you'll find those adult situations. It's also maybe when somebody has gotten an accident that they'll get an anti-tetanus shot, but that is not even immunization at that point. Yes. Kindly explain to me the science behind that. Yeah,
thank you very much. Now, you see, when you are born, you have not been in contact with anything. So in other words, you don't have immunity against them. But many of the diseases, the mother's immunity, they pass it on to the babies. That's why you find we start about 6 weeks. But now, we have realized also that some children can get some diseases even at birth. That's why we have now introduced a vaccine for hepatitis B at birth. That's why you are also giving polio at birth. That's why you are giving BCG at birth. But otherwise, most of them have got immunity. But their immunity, which they get from the mother, wanes away, reduces as they go up. So that's why we are giving these children early enough so that we can, as I said, give them protection against because now they have been exposed to the world, where all these viruses, the diseases are. So we prevent them early. So usually the immune system between 0 and about 5 years is not strong enough against the disease. So when we give them that, that's why we target usually under 5. Now by giving them the immunity, we are protecting them against those coming. But then, as they grow up, because they have got the immunity I've given them, but also they get some of these, they acquire their own immunity, they become stronger. Okay. Yes.
Now, Ministry of Health has updated the routine immunization. Where I believe, like, opposed to like when we kept cramming as we were growing up and in school, the 7 killer diseases, malaria has also been added onto the list. And I've heard you talk about hepatitis B as well. Wow, please, maybe you'd need to share with us the immunizable diseases.
For you, by the time you came, there were 7, but for me, there are 6. We used to think them in school, the 6 killer diseases, and everybody knew them. But we know they were more than that. We were targeting fewer because of our economy. We had to look for those which are the main, actually, let's say the killer diseases, which are mainly killing people. But as time went on, we know there are other diseases. And as we improved, and also our knowledge improved, we kept having one by one. And the economy improved because some of the diseases, for example, you went to the developed world, they are getting almost about 20 diseases. But for us, because of our economy, we are targeting the common ones, most which are killing many of our children. But as we improve, we have been increasing, adding on. And for example, we added on hepatitis B in 2002. Hepatitis B, which was against what you call the liver disease, which eventually you get cancer in adulthood. We added it on. Then at the same time, we added also hemophilus influenza, which prevents against pneumonia and meningitis in children. So we kept adding on as the economy improved. And eventually we even added on the rotavirus for diarrhea. So we kept adding on. But now, finally, of course, the malaria vaccine could have been earlier. But the problem was it was a science. Producing a malaria vaccine has been a challenge, a big challenge over the years. They will have one which may be successful, then it is not. But finally, we have got 2 vaccines. So, and we know malaria is the biggest killer of children in most of our developing countries, especially in Uganda out about 20 to 40%. So now we have reached a stage, the vaccine has been available, and now we have introduced it.
Now, Professor, because when you talk about it, and with some of the others that you're talking about, that I'm like, all that has to be introduced to this child. Are there specific, like, say, when you go for the first dose, it is specifically this? Take us through the routine, possibly a bit of the routine.
Yes.
When you go for the second dose, then maybe this is knocked off, because I believe some of them might not be the whole 4, you know, vaccines required. Some might be lesser than that. Kindly guide the parent who is watching you right now.
So originally, we were giving our first dose vaccines at 6 weeks. And as we said, that we'd make sure that before the mothers, what they have got, the immunity has went off, we start giving them. So, but then, we realized, for example, that polio, some children could get polio before they are 6 weeks. So we added another vaccine, which is now we give polio at birth, we give BCG at birth because it can also come early. But then we have also, because hepatitis B is mainly acquired during birth.
Oh.
Yes, during birth. But so by 6 weeks, it may be a bit late. So now we are giving it at birth.
Those 3.
Now, those which are doing that, in order not to confuse the nomenclature, we don't say 1, 2, 3. So we have maintained number 1 at 6 weeks. So 6 weeks we give polio. Now we call it polio 1. Then of course we give now there is a vaccine which has got, so we can also give for pneumonia at 6 weeks. Then we can also give the DPT, the one for, now there is a vaccine which has got 5 in them. 5 of them.
5 in 1?
Yeah. We used to call it DPT for diphtheria, pertussis, whooping cough, and tetanus. But again, I said in 2002, we added the one for pneumonia, which is Haemophilus influenza, and one also for the cancer, for the hepatitis. So they became 5. We give them 5. So we call them 1, 1, 1. Then at 10 weeks, that is 4 weeks later, we give a second dose of the same. But at the same time, we have also added the one of the diarrhea, the water vaccine. Then we go to, that is 10 weeks. Then after that, we go to 14 weeks. We give the 3rd dose. Now, previously, we would wait for 9 months. We give the measles vaccine. And see, in developing countries, by 1 year, if you're ready to get at 9 months, you should have had those. But now, of course, things have changed a bit. As you said, updating the program. Now, we have added, we realize that measles, some children who are vaccinated for measles, they still can get measles.
Yeah, they do.
Not some of them they do. Maybe about 10% may not take. So we thought there was a need for a second dose. So now we are giving so. But at the same time, as I said, as we improved and our knowledge improved, we also realized that many of the children with some of the diseases, especially the heart diseases, are because of the rubella, which they acquired from their mothers when they are pregnant. The heart diseases, sometimes the mental problems, hearing disorders was because of rubella. So we added the rubella vaccine. In the other parts, they give actually 3, measles, rubella, and mumps. But mumps, although it is common, it does not, is not a serious in terms of causing sickness and disease. So and when you add it, the cost goes high. So we added the rubella, and then we give the rubella and measles together. So we're giving the first dose of measles and rubella combined at 9 months, then we repeat the second dose at 18 months. If you get that, then you are protected completely. So that was an addition. 2, we also, you know that there's yellow fever.
Yes, please.
Yellow fever is not a big problem, but we know there are a few cases, and you know, when you get yellow fever, it's a serious disease affecting the liver, and of course, there are a lot of deaths. And you know, internationally now, sorry, you know, now internationally, yellow fever is the only vaccine which everybody requires to travel. So now, at 6 months, we have added yellow fever vaccine. But that once you get it, it's enough for life.
For life.
You get it for life. So we have added that. Then, of course, as you said, we have added but also in addition, with the diphtheria, Diphtheria, of course, you may not know it was which has been affecting the throat and what disease, but because of vaccination, you don't see it anymore. And then, of course, the tetanus. We are giving up to, now we are also adding a second dose, both the mothers and the children. Now, then, of course, finally, malaria has come. And we are very happy because malaria has been a challenge for us. That's been the main cause which makes sickness as well as death. So now we got the malaria vaccine, which now we are giving at 6 weeks. Of course, I must tell you, many of the other diseases have been fitting in our program. 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 14 weeks, and 9 months. But the malaria has been a bit, so it has come in. Of course, yellow fever has also gone at 6 months. So the malaria are giving at 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, and then in the final dose, the fourth was at 18 months. So now we used to say that if a child had got all their vaccines by 1 year, then they are fully immunized. But now we have changed it. We are saying by 2 years, you should have had all these. That's when we say that you are completely immunized.
Then what happens in scenarios where you have some parents who, I will not give excuses for them, but might choose to alter or miss out on some of the stages, assuming one does the 6 months, then they will skip the 7, then they'll come for the other. Is that correct? Because if they've missed, they brought the baby for 6 months, that's malaria, they miss out the 7th month, and then they want to bring the baby at the next stage, and then...
no, of course, what you're saying is true, they are not right. But of course, it happens. But we don't blame them. We cancel them, but we start again. If you are missed, we give you what you are missed and then continue. Just like if your child was supposed to start senior P1 at 6 and then start with 8 years, we'll go to P1 and continue. And we'll finish. So we do the same.
So you do the same, there is that consideration for them.
Catch up immunization.
It's the catch up.
Yes.
It doesn't have any effect, the fact that they have missed for that period of time, because I thought the effectiveness is more by following the instructions.
Yeah, it is more by following instructions. But now, what happens that once we start, then we follow instructions, the rest and you complete your dose. So you get your dose.
Okay, yes. Wow.
So it's important, actually, what you have said, to be fully protected. What we are saying, the protection, and what you mean you are immunized, is to have follow all the vaccine and get all the doses. And that's why we told you, but some diseases we have realized we need a second dose, what we call a booster. Like measles, we are giving a booster, DPT, we are giving boosters. Yes.
Now, so far with the excitement, because, you know, when you talk about it, I could really feel it. I could really feel that to you, this is it. If it's something as a medical personnel and as a professor at your level, a researcher, you have been looking out for, the malaria vaccine is here. What is your take on it?
Oh, it's great news. It's great news, and I'm glad. Our country may not be the first, third or something, but at least has been among not the first ones to get the vaccine. Because, as I told you, if you went in a health facility, the majority is because of malaria. And even in terms of death, malaria is still the leading cause of death. It causes the anemia, it causes so many things it causes malaria. And of course, also, not only that, even when children get sick, you don't go to work, you spend money, time and what. So finally we've got something which can take care of the commonest cause of illness in children in our country, and death. And that's the malaria vaccine. So we are very, very excited. Of course, you know that we didn't start the whole country. They have started in this particular region of the Uganda, you know, the northern region, the areas of the Rangwa, Patch and what. That's where malaria is highest. So that's where we started. And
then how do you manage situations where there are some parents who might, for specific reasons, choose not to have their kids maybe, let's say, like immunized, because assuming if maybe a kid has a disease or a condition, rather, let me change the word, a condition that might not allow them to go through the stage. Is that true? Or it's just excuses for them to evade? Or have you had scenarios where some kids have reacted? Because I know the major one is like a little fever, and maybe a swelling at the site of where the prick has been taken.
Yeah, thank you very much for bringing that early enough. As we said, the vaccines are very safe in terms of, we talked about causing the disease you are protecting, but also in terms of other side effects. As you say, the commonest usually are mainly for the injection, having pain at the injection site, which is normal. Even when you get any treatment, you get some pain. Sometimes they can get a swelling, you have said, and then of course they have fever, that's all. But what most people fear are really more of their own thinking or sometimes what they have been told. But we don't usually get very serious side effects by vaccines. They are really very safe. So when the mothers, we usually counsel them. If somebody can say, you know, my child is sick, has got this. But some of them, by the way, who think, for example, children with sickle cell. Say, my child has sickle cell, now if you give vaccines, actually they need them more than even others. Those who are, some of those who fear, when they are counseled, say, oh, your child actually needs more than others. For example, I'll take you, the pneumococcal vaccine, which we started recently, some years back. But originally, the sickles were supposed to get it, even as early as when you don't make a diagnosis that should to prevent them getting pneumonia. So now people are saying, whoa. So actually, some of these way are saying, my disease, my child, I fear if you give this vaccine, she is weak, and actually it protects them. So they are counseled. They are not blamed because what they have, the misbelief they have, and what they are being told, but we counsel them and give them.
Okay. Now, Professor, at this point, like you can see on our screens, we have a WhatsApp number displayed for you to participate in the show, because I know many of you are like, at least now we have a medical person who will be able to respond to our concerns. The first one is, thanks for the program. Is malaria vaccine for free or we pay something? That is, then he goes ahead to ask, where can I be vaccinated? Pastor Samuel Senyange from Chotera District, Motukula Town Council.
Thank you very much for that question. Malaria vaccine is free. Right now, the malaria vaccine, as I've told you, is not so much available by the way of the whole world. Actually, countries are lining for it. So what Uganda got, the stock got fast. They are targeting areas where we have most of the malaria cases, which is North Uganda, maybe around the patch, or those areas there. So it is only in government. By the way, let me inform you, most of the vaccines which we give to children are provided by government. They are free. Even if you get them in a private facility, they are being provided by government. Only that the private facility may add a small fee for their services, but otherwise they are all free. So the malaria vaccine which you have in Uganda is completely free. Where do you get it? For now, you wait for the government to tell you want to get, but actually it is for children under 5. Because they are the ones, it's for the children under 5, but because they are the ones where malaria is the biggest problem.
Okay, in Chotera District, is it there yet?
Not yet.
Not
As
yet.
I said, for now, currently, they are giving mainly the northern region, the areas of Apache, Rira, those districts around there, because that's where malaria is the highest for now. But of course, it will expand the whole country shortly.
Okay. So, Pastor, I
so
beg for you to...
you get there, like any other vaccines which are given to children, you will get, and it will be free.
Okay, Pastor, we beg for you to be patient when the vaccine comes to Chotera. I believe the health facilities there, government health facilities will have it, but please kindly note it for the children.
For the vaccines which they give to children, even if you go anywhere, you are getting vaccines for children, they are provided by government. But some have got some vaccines are not yet in the government program, which may be bad. So whether you go to health facility, which is government, or private, the vaccine you are getting for children are provided by government and are free. If you are charged a small fee, it is just because this facility maybe have done something, but it should be very small.
Okay. So I'm sure your fears have been, or your question has been responded to. Now you're talking about who, because now, based on his question, I would like us to go a little bit further. Who are you calling the zero-dose children?
Oh, thank you very much. The zero-dose children are those children who have never received any vaccine. I think I leave it at that. Because when I talk of Gavi, the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunization, which mainly provides most of the money for most of these vaccines, there was slightly different definition. But let's stick to, for us, which everybody will know. If your child has never, even if it is 2 days old, has not had any vaccine, that is zero dose. In other words, you are not received any dose in your child's life.
Okay. Now, this particular point, I'd like us to take a very short commercial break. When we do return, we're still going to continue. You can pose your questions on the WhatsApp number that will be displayed on the screen. Professor is here to respond to you right after this break.
In the neighborhood, near stagnant water and mosquito breeding sites, malaria lurks, always waiting to strike. But fear not, for here comes Mr. Vaxxer, the ultimate protector against malaria. For years, malaria has been one of the biggest threats to children under 5, making them weak and even putting their lives at risk. But now, the government is introducing a new solution, the malaria vaccine. The malaria vaccine is now in the routine immunization schedule. The malaria vaccine is administered in 4 doses at 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, and 18 months. This vaccine will provide extra protection against severe malaria. And don't forget, routine immunization protects children from many deadly diseases. Every vaccine matters. Visit the nearest health facility for routine immunization services today. Mr. Vaxxer, the malaria vaccine is free, safe, and ready to protect our children. Will you join the fight and complete all 4 doses? For more information, call the Ministry of Health on 0800 100 066. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Uniquely ours. Explore Uganda.
Hello, Kampala, Uganda. In response to the national call of strengthening the traffic security, Good Products Group HGO brand has officially launched the Rider Selection Campaign. Registration is now open. Visit www.riders.hgo.com. Complete your registration now for a chance to win exciting prizes including motorcycles, exclusive HGO gift boxes, and official rider vests, all while promoting safe riding awareness. This is how to participate. Pay the registration fee, invite 3 friends to form a team of 4, and your registration fee will instantly be refunded. Begin your journey of honor today. Don't miss this opportunity. Join the challenge, promote road safety, and become a pioneer rider. For details, visit the official Good Products website at www.hgo.com or call toll-free 0800-335-555 or visit our offices at Kingdom Kampala 3rd floor to register now and win prizes worth millions.
It's a FlexiPay cashback explosion. Shop and pay with your FlexiPay. Cashback instant. It's a FlexiPay cashback explosion.
It's a FlexiPay cashback explosion. Simply shop and pay with your FlexiPay at activating outlets and enjoy instant cashbacks. Terms and conditions apply. Stanbic Bank is regulated by the Bank of Uganda, and customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund up to 10 million Uganda shillings.
In the neighborhood, near stagnant water and mosquito breeding sites, malaria lurks, always waiting to strike. But fear not, for here comes Mr. Vaxxer, the ultimate protector against malaria. For years, malaria has been one of the biggest threats to children under 5, making them weak and even putting their lives at risk. But now, the government is introducing a new solution, the malaria vaccine. The malaria vaccine is now in the routine immunization schedule. The malaria vaccine is administered in 4 doses at 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, and 18 months. This vaccine will provide extra protection against severe malaria. And don't forget, routine immunization protects children from many deadly diseases. Every vaccine matters. Visit the nearest health facility for routine immunization services today. Mr. Vaxxer, the malaria vaccine is free, safe, and ready to protect our children. Will you join the fight and complete all 4 doses? For more information, call the Ministry of Health on 0800 100 066. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. You're still watching GMU Extra with me, Sophia, and in studio with me is Professor Muhoozi Edson. He is a specialist when it comes to child-related matters, and he has got a lot of titles that we just chose today to say, since we're talking malaria, we choose one of the titles to use. Professor, still back to you. Now, we had finished explaining about the zero-dose children. Now, what is the impact of the high number of zero-dose children in the community?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Very important. Now, if we have, let me give you an example. When you give a measles vaccine, we would want at least to have 90 to 95 of children under 5 vaccinated against measles. Now, if some children miss, and we age in about a year, about 10% miss, then another year is a 20% miss. Within 3 years, you start getting outbreaks. What happens when you have children who are immunized? Many people are not immunized. The zero dose, they are likely to get the disease. And when they get the disease, they pass it on to other children. And other children, of course, many children will get infected. But if we have got most of the people vaccinated or immunized, then if one child gets the disease, it's not spreading it because the next person is protected, the next is protected, the next is protected. So the disease will remain that person until he recovers, or until he recovers. Let me not use the other word. Until he recovers. But if it's very bad disease, of course, the person dies, then die. So that zero dose is so important. The more children you get with zero dose, the more you are likely to have more children who are affected, and the more they are spreading to other people. So it's a very important point about zero dose. That's why we try our best to make sure. That's why I like this program. You are telling us the importance of vaccination. It protects children against targeted diseases so they don't get them. Because if they get them, then they get sick. So we will try, in fact, for example, the target by the World Health Organization is that by 2025, at least we should have reduced those children with zero dose by 25%. And by 2030, we should have even reduced this further by 50%. So that we have got as few as possible. Meanwhile, of course, the governments are trying their best, especially our government, to make sure as many children are immunized as possible. What we call catch-up immunization. Those who may have missed, we look for them and give them. That's why you have got the child days every April, May, and every October, November. They are going to communities and what they call extra effort to make sure they immunize those who are already immunized. They give them booster doses according to their schedule. Those who had missed, then they get a chance. So that's why we don't want a zero dose, because if a child is infected with a disease which is spread, it will spread to others. And if you have got more people spreading, then many children will get spread. So now, the zero dose is so important.
Now, Professor, I have seen that there are very many interventions. Government has done a very big role in creating a lot of interventions as far as malaria is concerned. The residue spraying, the mosquito nets, you know. Practically every household has benefited at least from the mosquito nets. Now, the malaria vaccine, why does it turn out that way? Because I thought if we adhere and are following through onto the interventions that have been put for us in place, the malaria vaccine possibly would have been more for the adults who are pretty much on the move.
Like that.
Because you're going to put, this kid will adhere. They have no choice. If the person has put them under the net, they put them under the net. Now the adults really feel they are left out here. They're the ones who are always like running around and are prone to catch malaria and then possibly get back and as well spread it to the little ones at home.
Thank you very much. Let me first finish the children. You rightly said, there are interventions. And many ones which you know are effective. There are many who have been there, but the most important which have been very effective are insect-treated mosquito nets. And of course, also the other one was when we introduced the ACTs, the artemisinin combination, effective treatment, so that if you kill the virus from the person, if the malaria vaccine, malaria parasite you treat the same effectively, then you can't pass it on. But those interventions have been good. They reduce malaria, but how much have we reduced malaria? It is still the leading cause of sickness and death in children. So it means we are doing that, but it is not 100%. And so because of that, for example, mosquito nets, we are giving in the house, but some of them don't sleep in them. You have heard why people are using them to catch fish. You have heard people say, I mean, when I put in there, I can't breathe. So some of them is there. And but we are targeting children who are many, and again, see, malaria affects many children. But now, the malaria vaccine, so it's not that actually replace those ones, it adds on. But we know, for example, when you give it, chances of reducing sickness and this malaria is about 40–50%. So, and one thing we know, by the way, which actually everybody should know, in terms of prevention disease, the most effective, there are two things. Provision of safe water is number one in terms of preventing diseases, all diseases. Number two is immunization. And we know immunization, in fact, in terms of medical interventions, in preventing disease, immunization is number one. Because once they give you a vaccine, whether you like or not, you are protected. Because somebody give it out, you don't take, but once you give a vaccine, an injection in the mouth, once you take it, you are protected, 100%. And that's why the malaria vaccine is a game changer. Because the mosquito nets, sometimes these children are bitten before they go to bed.
Yeah,
true. You know it very well. Previously, by the way, we used to say mosquito which carry the mosquito which carry the malaria parasite, they bite around 10, 11 there. But now that seems to have changed.
The feeding patterns.
The feeding patterns have changed. So people have said, I see but my child has got. So that one is not 100%. Of course, the other treatment, the other measures are not there. For example, if you say you spray your house and all that. But the vaccine is another addition to those. So you continue with those, but we add it on. But with the evidence, there is evidence that if you give the malaria vaccine, you are going to reduce malaria infection by about 40–50%. And even the deaths will go down by that. So it's an additional. But it is, we know, we are sure. Once you give you an injection, there's no question, me, I don't believe in it or not, it will take. And there's evidence world over that of all the interventions, which we can't defeat, we can't actually debate about is immunization. Once you get, you are protected.
Yeah, true. Okay, good morning. Thanks, Professor, for the clear and precise sensitization and explanation about the malaria vaccine schedule and its importance. Plus, in fact, I have noted the importance of proper record keeping because prevalence of disease is the priority. Thanks, researchers, for this milestone. Big up. And this is from Francis from Bosana, Kayunga. He's really appreciating. Then another one comes in. This is from Fred from Ginger, who says, thanks for the program, but my question is, these vaccines earlier, many media centers are warning the general public that it is deadly. How shall we trust? This is Fred from Ginger.
Thank you, Fred from Ginger and one from Kayunga. The one talked about records is so important. Good. That's why we are talking, we know malaria is the leading cause of sickness and death in our children. That's why we know that a batch, that is sub-region, plus also when you go to Tororo, that area there has got the highest malaria incidence in Uganda. And if they talk about mosquito bites, there is research which showed that the highest number of mosquito bites per night is in that region, in the whole world. So that's why the ministry has targeted that first because of data. Thank you for that question. Now, the second question.
Okay, the other one was just saying thank you pretty much. Now this one, there is this one who is saying, what's the total number of vaccines a child receives before 2 years of age? They want the total number that includes every other.
No, I want to talk about the total number of diseases we protect. Right now there are 14. But in terms of number of doses, if you talk of doses, you are talking at birth, they are getting 3 at birth, they are getting then those at 6 weeks, they are getting at 10 weeks, they are getting at 14 weeks, 6 months, then talk of 7 months, 8 months. I don't want that one. If you take that, we may scare somebody. Let's talk about the diseases. We have gone from 6 to
14 diseases.
I think that's the message you should take. Don't worry about the number.
You say from 6 to 14 diseases now.
Now we are at 14. So
wow.
we are doing very well.
Okay.
And we are continuing as the economy improves and things improve. Because when the economy improves, the other diseases, for example, the things like the mumps, we may immunize against them, and the others which are
Now there was a funny story as we were growing
by
up,
the way,
where it was prestigious for the child to get
one
mumps.
vaccine I didn't mention, the one against cervical cancer in women.
Oh,
we are giving it to children at 10 years of age. To girls, by the way.
Girls, by the way.
That one didn't take, it's part of our program, immunization program.
And for
at
free.
10, at 10 months, or they are giving the vaccine for children. For free, of course. So for free. It's part of the, those vaccines which are free.
Now, there was this funny bit where it was like, so-and-so's child has mumps,
talked about
Professor.
The media.
Okay, the media, yes, the media.
Should I address the media?
The gentleman from Ginger.
Media, you will note that the traditional media, they are not doing that. It is some of those social media which are doing that. UBC, you can see we are here. And the many other media which are we know. But some of those here are actually the chorus, not the official media themselves. But we don't believe in those, because the world over, there are those what we call anti-vaccine campaigners. They are there, but fortunately, our main media really promote immunization.
Okay. My dear, I would like to allay your fear and tell you that at least by 2 years, you should have gotten vaccinated, covered with all.
Yes.
Because, like they said, the final dose of malaria is at 18 months. But we are saying by 2 years, make sure you have completed all. Because we leave room for allowance. Some of you might not be able to get there to the time when the child is 18. You might have reasons that hindered you. But make sure by the time the child clocks 2 years, they have completed the entire dose. And there are 4 doses for the malaria vaccine, like you see them running in the advert and have been mentioned. Let me get to other
Thank you very much. You said by 2 years you should have got all that.
Yes.
But later on, if suppose the child came and it's 4 years and has not been vaccinated, we should vaccinate those children.
Okay.
Yes,
even when they're 4 years,
yes,
you're giving them room to help them.
Yeah, because there are some which they are missed, we can't give, but we'll give them, yes. Yes, for example, even you, if you have not had a, let's say, measles vaccine, you can get.
As an adult, you can get it?
When it's allowed to, no, what for?
No, as the children, yeah.
Now, you talked about why are you not targeting adults?
I see them here complaining. Is a jab only for children or older persons as well?
It is for children below 5 years. So this is vaccination for children. We target those under 5 years, and because of the reason that most of the diseases which are children don't have immunity against this disease, so we are giving them immunity. But as they grow up, they get their own immunity. So the adults have got their immunity. But of course, they can also get malaria. But most of the malaria are targeting children. But as you improve, when time goes, at one time maybe, for example, you can give them vaccine. Yes.
Now there's one who is curious. I think science is in play. What is the name of the malaria vaccine? The malaria vaccine. I think they think it's a scenario like when we had during COVID and we had the different types, Johnson and Johnson, and
2 malaria vaccines which have been suggested by the WHO. In fact, there is RTSS, but that one we're not using. This one, the one we're using is 21M Max M.
The one you're using is? In
Uganda, 21R Max M.
Okay.
That's the one we're using. But another one is RTSS. Some other countries have chosen it. So the country chooses according to, it seems this one is the one which we thought could fit well in our program.
Okay.
But the effectiveness is the same.
Then the gentleman who was talking about what the media is saying, I would like to allay your fears. There are certain times, you know, with this era of misinformation and disinformation and information, you need to choose where you pick your information from and what is authentic. Because you remember, let me just use a scenario of COVID-19. Remember a lot of myths and misconceptions we got. And we kept on running around. We ended up becoming doctors in our own houses, prescribing for ourselves even when we are not sick, because everything you would hear, if they said this works and will prevent you from getting COVID, you were in a hurry to go and do it. Please, let's be able to listen to what the experts say and choose your information selectively. I'm sure you have health centers near your places. I don't think the doctors will refuse to share some of this information with you for as long as they realize that you need the knowledge to be able to safeguard yourself. Am I right, Professor?
Yeah, you're right. Thank you very much. And in addition, they gave a number, Minister of Health. You can always call that number, they give you information. You have got your health officers, you have got, any health worker will give you that information. And as you said, the media will give you so many things, but choose what you think is right for you. But I can tell you, immunization is safe and very effective. We know. And as I told you, it is the most important in terms of preventing a disease due to infections. It is the one which is the most effective. And it cost effective, by the way. Because I said, number one is safe water is number one. Number two is immunization. But how costly is it to get provide safe water? Compare how many times have we given billions for prices, but up to now they have no. But the immunization, I gave one time when we are doing these what they call mass campaigns. One time we immunized 15 million children in 2 days for measles. That was 52% of our population. At that time, children from zero, because measles had gone up to affect children even up to 15 years. So we went that age from 6 to 15 years. It was 52% of our population. At that time, it was 15.2 million. We immunized them in what? In 2 days. And within a week, there was no measles on the world. So it is very, very effective, cost effective.
Now, still, in terms of that, what you've said, in terms of it being cost effective and all that, but there are also other issues, Professor Morris, Professor. The issue of the myths and misconceptions. How are you trying to allay some of the fears of some of those people? Because I think they're the ones that end up giving people that bit of like, should I go? Should I take the child for immunization? They keep on having that doubt because of the myths and misconceptions in our society.
Yes. Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, that is a big problem, misconceptions and mistrust and all those. There is something called vaccine hesitancy, which people can, the vaccine is there available, but people are not taking it. Why? Because of so many things. Of course, one of the things we are doing is what we are doing right now. We are saying the vaccines are safe and what. So we really give talks through the media and also the health workers. Whenever people go to health facilities, there is health education. And during that time, before they start treatment, they also talk about immunization and how safe they are, especially for the children. And then, of course, we also write in the media, the Uganda Pediatric Association, under which I am, which we are doing this. We also keep sensitizing the health workers and people, the media, we write articles. But the important thing is communication, and that's where the media will come in. And that, as you talked, the media will come in because we use you to carry our message about the vaccines being safe, the misconceptions, rather demystify the misinformation, and some of the traditional beliefs about vaccines. So we do that. So I would keep campaigning, sensitizing the people, but we should use all the avenues. So even our political leaders, when they are talking to people in churches and resources about vaccination, we get to talk about vaccination. But key are the media, and people who are running the social media, please cut out the right messages, because people are listening to you, and some of these misconceptions, they get it from you. But whenever we get an opportunity, especially when people come to the hospital, or when they are talking to us, they come for any program, we talk about the vaccines and their safety and the rest. And for the children, when mothers come for immunization, before they are given a talk. And on that, they talk about the vaccine safety, and they ask them about their concerns and beliefs and misbeliefs, what they have been told, and they are laid.
Okay. Then you didn't talk about, we have the culture leaders and their role, and how supportive are they when it comes to the immunization programs?
Great. So apart from the other things we use, of course, the social media, what we call social mobilization, the cultural leaders. We talked about the religious leaders, but the cultural leaders are so important. That I know, for example, you know, Our Majesty has been keen in terms of really supporting immunization and encouraging people to get vaccinated. And I think the Uganda Kingdom has got the program, even on their programs where they do that. So the cultural leaders are so important because people believe in them. And when they took a message that the king or the king has said people get their children, they do. They are very, very important. Very important. Their message is important. I will tell you an example. In 1990, when we had a big measles outbreak, when we were doing our campaign, the Kawaka came to Murago and vaccinated the child. I can assure you, the following 2 days, the people came, turned up. The campaign was so massive that within the following week, 2 weeks, there was no measles in the country, almost the whole country, of course, in the hospitals. So the cultural leaders are big, and people believe in them and trust them.
Okay. Now, Professor,
fortunately, I've never had any cultural leader
who is against.
Who is against.
That's amazing. That's good. It's true. But Professor, there was this when we were growing up, and the boys would get mumps, I don't know why it was particular, pretty much more the boys, much as the girls would also get it. Then neighbors would send their kids, go and also, so that the mumps can also catch their child, where they believed it was like a symbol to show your money enough once you catch the mumps. I don't know what you've got to, if that still happens even today. Then you see them say, obuso, that the one that they used to tie around the broom to keep it firm, and they would say tie it around the upper part of the chest so that the mumps don't translate to the lower part of the body. I don't know if you had some.
Do you know why they didn't want them to go to the lower part of the body? Good. Thank you for bringing up that. Let me give you an example, which was practical. Before the rubella vaccine, there used to be something called rubella tea parties. In schools, when the children, this is a time of the corona times, I think they knew. When a child had rubella, because rubella is not so serious as measles, they get a rash and that's fever. So these bazungu would make the teachers, would make their tea. You know, they used to make their tea, nice tea, dry tea. They make their cakes. They make the class with that child. Come and have tea. In the process, that child will infect and infect them. And when infected, they get protected. So these are typical rubella tea parties. Before, but because rubella is not a serious disease. So now, we don't do that these days. We are giving the vaccine because we know those children, if they get, when they get pregnant, that. But now what you have said, what actually they are saying is not right. That's true. It's as if they are saying, if I'm sick, everybody should get sick. You have heard people like that, by the way. You have heard people with HIV. People say, let me, I won't die alone. That is not a good attitude. So, mumps is a very highly infectious disease. So ideally, when children have mumps, they should stay at home for some time. Now, what they are doing, sometimes they really put
blue stuff.
Blue stuff. That if you laugh at them, it gets you. Of course, that's what it's just a belief. Now, dying here, because they knew, by the way, one of the complications of mumps, fortunately, is rare. It can affect the testis of the baby, of the testis. It can actually affect the pancreas, and you end up with getting diabetes because your pancreas has been affected. But that is very rare. But it can also affect the testis. And if you get the testis, then the testis can get sort of sick and maybe become small and eventually become impotent. It also rare is ovaries also. So they were tying here. These are our people knew, by the way. They were tying here so that because the mumps here, then spread to go to affect the testes of their male children. But of course, you know, you cannot, it goes through blood. So you cannot stop blood. If you stop blood, then somebody will die. You are tying just here, the blood is going,
it's flowing normally.
It's flowing normally. So that's what they believed. And as of course saying that they are taking other children to, because that was not good, because you are infected, you are spreading it. You are spreading it. And that's why I told you, when you get better, the economy improves, and what, when you get our oil, maybe, we should be able to add mumps on the vaccination. It's not a serious disease, but somehow as well. But it can get a rare complication like that, and we don't want that in this era. So what they are doing are not right, but that was their belief. That if they say blue, you laugh at them, it gets you, and leave them. But that it leaves and get you. And that's what they're saying. That's what it was a belief, but it was not correct. But of course, of saying you go to other children, that was not good. They were spreading the disease.
Okay. Professor, I'm glad you have allayed people's fears, because even sometimes I think it comes out as an outbreak. You might be able to see it. There are those ins and outs. I would like you to share your final message with the person who is watching you right now on the importance of immunization and anything else you would like to tell them. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, moderator. I think the importance of immunization cannot be overemphasized. We have got many strategies to prevent child being sick. There are many strategies. There are about so many, but one of them is immunization. And we said, in developing countries, we are still dying because of immunizable diseases, infectious and immunizable diseases, many of them. But through vaccination, we have been able to reduce this. And you have seen many of the things, the improvement we are seeing. In fact, there is also a statement that one of the causes which led to increase in life expectancy all over the world is because of immunization, is one of them. You see, countries which have got high immunization rates, their life expectancy has increased. I think our president talks about this. When they came in, what our life expectancy was, what our population was, and in how many children were dying, under 5, and because of the different, including immunization, because that's when it was recognized, we have had all our things going up. Your life expectancy, because if you survive as a child, that means you grow. Our life expectancy has gone up. Our infant mortality has gone down. We are now talking about 36 per 1,000 births. When we are talking about 100 and something, our under 5 mortality has gone down to about 52. When we are talking about 140, about 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago. So, and vaccination has played a big role. So, the best thing to do for yourself, for your child, is to protect them against infectious diseases, which are the main leading causes of sickness and death in our children. And by protecting them, how do we protect them? By giving them vaccine, we increase their immunity, we give them the capacity to defend themselves against the attacking germs. And by so doing, these children will not be getting these diseases, 14 diseases I just talked about, which are the main leading cause of that. And of course, one of which has been our challenge, as was said, has been malaria. Now, once we get malaria, I think, by the way, we used to talk about 10 killer diseases of children in developing countries. Now we're talking about 3 because of this intervention, immunization being one of them. And the 3 we're talking about malaria, respiratory infection, which I got to the malaria, pneumonia, and what, but of course now we've also had the malaria vaccine, it's also reducing, and diarrheal diseases. But by reducing, also adding the rotavirus vaccine, also they are reducing. I tell you, I'm practicing. If you go to hospital, you rarely get a child being admitted because of diarrhea. These admissions are now reduced. So please, and there's also these are talking about, some of them you no longer hear them, and many of them are reduced. So please, let us protect our children by having them immunized. And we are aiming at have 0 dose, meaning no child should not have any vaccine.
Thank you so much, Professor. I do really, really appreciate your time. You've been such a wonderful guest, and thank you for responding to most of the concerns of our people. Thank you so much for you who's been watching. I know you still have a lot of questions, but unfortunately time is not our best ally. We shall be able to have somebody else in studio Thursday, same time, and you'll be able to have many of your other concerns addressed. That time we'll make sure it's open for all of you. But I'd like to say, for those who are asking again questions of like what age, it is below 2 years, please make sure the child has completed the malaria vaccine. And for the adults, it is a no for us, because the vaccine is already available for only those little ones. As time goes by, as the scientists keep on developing, possibly we'll get one even for us, the adults. But for now, as an adult, how many doses do you think you would need? Or to what percentage? Because the dose is small only for those little ones. Thank you for watching. Keep watching UBC TV for the rest of the programming that is coming your way.
In the neighborhood, near stagnant water and mosquito breeding sites, malaria lurks, always waiting to strike. But fear not, for here comes Mr. Vaxa, the ultimate protector against malaria. For years, malaria has been one of the biggest threats to children under 5, making them weak and even putting their lives at risk. But now, the government is introducing a new solution, the malaria vaccine. The malaria vaccine is now in the routine immunization schedule. The malaria vaccine is administered in 4 doses at 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, and 18 months. This vaccine will provide extra protection against severe malaria. And don't forget, routine immunization protects children from many deadly diseases. Every vaccine matters. Visit the nearest health facility for routine immunization services today. Mr. Vaxa, the malaria vaccine is free, safe, and ready to protect our children. Will you join the fight and complete all 4 doses? For more information, call the Ministry of Health on 0800 100 066. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
It's a FlexiPay cashback explosion. Shop and pay with